Howdy everyone, this is another karting video. As you can see, I've just left the pit lane and this is the Buckmore Park 24 hours. I had a 2-hour stint and, well, as you can see, again, it is raining. It was wet and I've started to enjoy the rain, but I thought, you know what, let's just put an unedited version of my wet weather stint. I had done no wet weather practice prior to jumping in the kart for this 24-hour race. And it was a little bit tense, it was a little bit nerve-wracking, but it was fun. And we were pretty much straight onto the pace because, you know, I'm such an incredibly talented driver and all of that. We're also using a weird shoulder mount because we weren't allowed normal helmet cams. So it looks a little bit weird. You can see my radio. There's a little bit of sponsorship for the radio, I guess. Bit of a free advertising. We use these bike radios, which tend to work quite well if you're not at a big circuit. If it's a very big circuit, then radios can tend to interfere with each other. But at Buckmore, it worked very well. Because it was raining, the stint was about 2 hours long, but my GoPro died after about an hour and 15. So that's how long this video is. Or I might make it a little bit shorter because as it got darker, the camera quality got a bit worse. It all started raining hard and yeah, camera did not like it when it rained hard. But hey ho. So we've had a lap out of the pit. So already I'm at the point where I'm thinking, right, I need to be at the pace now. I've had one lap. That is more than enough time to be faster than everyone else out on circuit, including those garbage YouTubers, the side boys or whatever they're called. And what was that other one called? The one that Super GT races for. They're all rubbish. Actually, Super GT is quite good. Team Badrun, I think. Team Quad Bad? Team Quadrant, there we go. But we're already catching up to one driver, and you'll notice that some drivers have blue plates, some drivers have black plates. The blue drivers are the pro drivers. The black drivers are like the rookies. But this is me. This is Milky Yusuf bin Sahel cereal we're talking about. The proest of the pros. We are the super pro, unless we're talking about BPEC. Then we are in the pro class. So we're getting our heads down, we're putting in some laps, and I've got a target in front of me who's got a track limits warning, which we saw. He goes very sideways into this corner, but you can see that in every braking zone, we're catching a little bit. We take a slightly tighter line through the second part of the right-hander, and we're still closing in. And all I was thinking was, let's just push, let's just get the laps in, and see where it goes, because for a 24-hour race, you cannot be thinking, you know, just in front of your nose. You have to think about the long game. You have to put in every single lap consistently. If you get track limits, you might end up getting a penalty, or your teammate will get a penalty because the track limits roll on. So you cannot afford to make mistakes, because even if you don't pick up a penalty, your teammates might. And if you have a spin, let's say you push that little bit extra, that 5% extra to find 1/10 a lap. You find 1/10 a lap, but then you spin after 10 laps. That spin is going to cost you about 5 seconds, and you only gained about a second from that 1/10 every 10 laps. So you have to manage the risk against reward. But that being said, I was just going full on, balls out, and mega aggression. I give a little wave. I think that was Fraser Brunton in the pit lane. So I was just letting him know, because myself and Fraser, we race in Club 100, and he was about to come out of the pits, and I told him that I was going to overtake him. And I was mentally preparing myself. This guy has a massive moment. He almost loses the rear, and then we almost go into the back of him. And I'm thinking, right, okay, racing head on, guys. How do we overtake the number 2 car, right? I know that he's looking behind him. I know that I'm quicker, but it is very hard to overtake in the wet compared to the dry. I tried to go for the old milky cereal back slap, but it just doesn't quite work in these rental karts, and we go a little bit too deep down into this corner. So he's pulling away. I'm already losing time because I'm behind him, because I'm no longer thinking about lapping quickly. I'm thinking about trying to get a good run to get past him. He's going to go up the inside of one of the Clubman karts, and I am looking to do the exact same thing. We get a really nice run, and now we're straight lining it over the curb. Again, fantastic run, but we've got nowhere to put our kart, so we just have to push him along. We're going to let him take the tight line. He gets a bad exit. We get a good exit. We get the drive, and we pull alongside. Job done. And just in front of me is Fraser Brunton. So, I'm going to be honest, I only had one thought in my head right now, which was catch Fraser Brunton. I did not care. Luke Battersby, if you're listening to this, I apologize, but I could not care if the team finished last. I could not care if the kart blew up. All that I cared about was overtaking that guy in front of me in car 11 because rivalry or something. I don't know. I said I was going to overtake him, so I've got to live up to that, right? So I knew that he had just come out of the pits. He wasn't ready for the wet conditions. He hadn't acclimatized, whereas we were like a penguin in the North Pole. We were used to the wet. We had embraced the rain, and I was like, right, I can use my 3 laps advantage to catch him. And you can see we're catching. And I was thinking, right, okay, come on, we're catching him. We got this. He's not gonna know what's gonna hit him, because I might literally try to overtake him and absolutely twat into him and, you know, yeet him out of the race. But it would be worth it. If I got a black flag for it, doesn't matter, as long as I get past. And we've caught up to a group of back markers, so I was thinking, right, again, I've got used to the conditions. If I can get through these back markers, we can catch up to this guy and we can get the move done. But then I go in way too hot. I get on the power on the red stuff and I spin. Just like Icarus, folks, I flew too close to the sun. I flew too close to overtaking Fraser Brunton, and my wings, or in this case, my tires, burnt up in the rain. And we went wide, and then we were on the red paint, paint's very slippery in the wet, and we spun. And after this point, it was over. And I was just too embarrassed. I was like, I can't show my face anymore. We spun in the wet, and this is what I was talking about. It's all about managing the risk versus reward. At that point, the reward was so great, I threw caution to the wind, and I was like, gotta risk it all. And, well, we didn't throw it all down the drain, but we lost a few seconds. We get a nice run again on this 20. We're going to pull alongside, and we'll get the job done, like Bob the Builder into the left-hander. Attaboy. Yeah, I don't know. Either way, this is pretty much going to be a 1 hour long podcast of me doing racing. So sit back, grab the popcorn, get your girlfriend or boyfriend to come along and watch Milky Cereal absolutely send it in the wet conditions. I'd make a sexual joke, but I get in trouble for it, so I won't. Something about the track being wet, and you guys can figure it out from there. Anyway, we've got to overtake the number 2 car again, so I was like, all right, you know, heads down. Not only do we have to overtake number 2 one time, we've got to do it again. And don't forget, he's probably going to be laughing at how I bottled it. My team's probably laughing about it as well. They're not. They're probably crying. They're like, oh my god, why did we let this guy in the team? All he did is just spin straight away. This is also a fantastic time. It's not a fantastic time, but I'll mention it anyway. Did you know most of you guys who are watching this have not subscribed to my channel? My channel is very, very cool, may I add. You should definitely subscribe. We post daily shorts of overtakes, karting tips and tricks, not like the other YouTube channels where they give you karting tips. And I've watched some of them, and they tell you some really, really bad advice, right? I am a professional karting driver. I've got my own cool custom helmet. Look at that send, right? You think anyone else could do that send into a corner? No, they couldn't. Only we, Milky Cereal, could do that. So I've got like my own cool helmet, got my own cool custom suit. I've got really big trophies at home. You should definitely subscribe and listen to me because I know what I'm talking. No, I don't. But I say funny things like every now and then. Like, look how much we're catching up to these guys. And I started working out this corner, right? I didn't want to go deep into it. I wanted to be able to get a nice run through this left-hander so we could straight line it over that curve. And look how much we're catching up. Again, if you haven't seen it yet, make sure you go and watch my Club 100 video from Buckmore Park earlier this year, where it was also damp, like it is now, but less damp, and I was very, very fast. And that's where I learned how to drive Buckmore in the wet, from that race, and it's why I did alright for this. So I think we were probably the 3rd fastest car out on circuit. Kart 11 was quicker, and Kart 5, which is Fraser Brunton and Peter Knight, and to be honest, they're both just aliens. Go on, we're going to send number 6. Go on, watch this. Meow. Oh, there's a spinner. Haha, we push him into the cart, and we gain the positions. My guy thought he could turn in, but I was there. I was like, absolutely not, Sonny Jim. That is our corner. You can go into that car. I'm not giving you space. I could not care if you hit him. I could not care if you got in. Okay, no, I would care, but at the same time, when I'm in the car, all I care about is gaining the position. So if that cart spun and he's alongside me, I'm taking the racing line. He can figure it out himself. In karting, you have to be selfish, right? That's what makes a good racing driver. Think about Ayrton Senna and Michael Schumacher and Max Verstappen and Sebastian Vettel. Are they like, you know what, Mark? You can go and win the Malaysian Grand Prix. No, it's multi-21, Seb, multi-21. You got to be selfish, right? Even if they're your bestie out on circuit, right? They might be your bestie, but once you put your helmet on, they're your frenemy. Or your enemy, I don't know, depending on how you look at it. They are your arch nemesis, and you have to batter them and beat them into submission, and that is the only way that you can approach karting. Anything else, not acceptable. Like, have a look at these guys, the number 12 and number 2. They think that they're quick drivers. Now, outside of the race, I was commentating, and I got to them like, how are you doing? What's your thoughts of racing? All of those were rubbish questions, right? But now that I'm in the car, all I'm thinking about is, you're shit, I'm going to overtake you and show you how bad you are. That way then, when I interview them afterwards, I could be like, so hand the mic over to them. How does it feel to get overtaken by a commentator? And then watch their face be like, I don't know how to respond to this. I have been dominated by the alpha karting driver. Yeah, I don't really know where we're going, but we get a really nice run, a little bit sideways. We can't quite get through on the number 12. We were in kart 10, I think. So, naturally, we're quicker than him anyway because we've got a lower number. We get a little bit sideways, but it doesn't matter. Go on, Yusuf. Send... I didn't say that. Wait, no, wrong word. I backed out of the move. There we go. Oh, someone's trying to overtake me. Who's that? Who thinks they're quicker than me? Absolutely not. We're going to send it up the inside. Get the move done, a little bit of contact. Number 2 has realized that we've overtaken, and number 2 is like, oh shit, oh shiza, we're being closed in by Super Serial, and he starts making mistakes. Like, look at that, he's a little bit sideways. We're gonna get a nice no, we don't. Again, as I said, you couldn't really get the backslap exit through that chicane in these rental carts. In the Club 100 carts, absolutely could, but in these carts, not really as much. So I did get a little bit scared when I saw that car pulling up alongside me. I was like, who the frick is this guy? And where did he come from? But to be honest, he didn't really show his face after that. So I think he caught up because we were in a little bit of traffic. And after that point, it was like heads down, ignore everyone else. Also, the sound has gone wonky. When you have your GoPro camera out in the rain without a wet case for it, it gets a little bit weird because water can get into the microphone and then it sounds like this. And it sounds like the microphone's underwater because literally it's surrounded by water bubbles. As we're going to send ourselves up the inside of the 27. He runs wide, we get the position. And there is kart 1. So, the reason why they're called kart 1 is because they are the greatest drivers that ever existed until they met me. Because we are the new greatest karting drivers to ever grace Earth. Okay, I'm a little bit too cocky here. But number 2 is going to go up the inside because, you know, we're behind him and he's so scared. Number 2 is so scared of us that it's enough for him to surpass the greatness of kart 1 and overtake kart 1. That's how amazing. Actually, no, it'd be how bad we are because number 2 is scared. Anyway, so ignore what I was saying. We get through. Now we're hunting down kart number 2. How do we get past? I don't know. So, to be honest, when you're in these situations in the wet, you know, serious time for a second, all you can do is get the exits right, and number 2 makes a mistake. We're going to overtake him pretty much the same way we did before, up the inside. All you can do is be consistent, put pressure on the car in front of you, and once he makes a mistake, you can take advantage of that, because it is wet, and drivers will make mistakes. We're not talking about the absolute elite karting drivers in the UK who could do many laps in wet conditions without making a single mistake. As I think you heard me, I heard myself for a second saying something on the intercom, probably asking like, how close am I to the car ahead and all of that kind of stuff. But as I was saying, when you're in these wet conditions, if it's in the dry, you just send it. In the wet, if you go offline, you have so little grip. It costs you so much time and you can't get the move done. You run the risk of just understeering into them, picking up a penalty, ruining both of your races. So when it's wet, like it is here, all you have to do is just put in good laps, right? Even if you're behind someone, just apply the pressure, because at some point they might make a tiny mistake that allows you to pull up alongside them, compromise their line. You can get a switchback, get the job done, or send it up the inside. And that's how we got past number 2. Pretty much both times. There's that guy there, that number 5 car, that is Peter Knight. He was very, very fast. He also races for Team Tate Motorsport in BPEC. Pretty handy driver. He's also a Buckmore Park merchant, so him overtaking us doesn't count, right? This is like his home circuit, so he's done so many laps here. That's like me going to, I don't really have a circuit. That's like me inviting Peter Knight for a race at Daytona Milton Keynes and beating him there and being like, ha, I beat you. But then again, I've not really done many laps at Daytona, so I don't have a circuit. I'm a bit like a Bedouin. I'm a traveller. I just go places and show up all of the locals. But sadly, we couldn't do that to Mr. Peter Knight. And at this point, a faster driver's got past me. And when you're as quick as me, right, there aren't many people who are quicker than you. So now that Peter's got through on me, all I could think was, right, I need to follow Peter. I need to figure out what he does that makes him so fast and try and copy that. So I noticed that through that corner there, that left-hander, cafe corner, or cafe curve, he went much tighter than I did. So I thought, okay, right, next lap, I need to do the same thing. I need to go tighter into that corner. I saw him go tight through this corner, but he was also overtaking someone. So I wasn't sure if that was his actual line or just because he was overtaking someone. And we started pushing a little bit more, going a little bit later on the brakes, but Peter was absolutely flying, full credit to him. And I'm trying to get past number 22, but number 22 is in my way. And now I'm going to try to get the old back slapperoonies. I get the drive, but there's a yellow flag, and I've got to sit behind him. And Peter Knight now checks out. We passed the incident. It was a marshal fixing the post, so we're going to get a nice run through here. Again, this guy's alongside us. Do we go around the outside, or do we look for the switchback? We're going to hang it round the outside, but Peter's just really far ahead, and it's really difficult for me now to see what kind of lines he's taking, but I'm still looking. I can see that he's taking the curb through this left-hander, so I know that I need to do that as well, but we end up sliding out, and I really hate these final couple of corners at Buckmore Park in the wet. In the dry, they're really fun, but in the wet, it's so hard to find the grip, and yeah, I just struggle, and now I can barely even see him anymore. So yeah, all I could do was just put in the laps and tried to hunt down the next car, and I knew, right, I can't catch up to that guy, I can't catch up to Fraser Brunch, but everybody else I can. As long as I put in the laps, I can catch up to more and more people. I was in 7th at the start of the stint, and I ended the stint in 5th place. So it was a pretty good stint. I gained 2 places up into the top 5, and we were catching 4th as well. No, Peter Knight was 4th. We were catching up to 3rd. We've got a good run. Can we go on, Yusuf? Go on, son! What a send. What a send up the inside. We give a little thumbs up because he's probably pissed off. So we're like, thumbs up, thank you very much. It's amazing. A driver can be really upset, but then you say thank you. It's like on the road. If you cut in front of someone, but then say thank you, they get less mad. And they're less likely to want to kill you or do something really stupid. So it's always good to say thank you, even if you couldn't care less. Just like, polite, cheers, mate. Because, you know, you're never going to see him again because you're like 2 seconds a lap quicker. And now we've got clean air in front of us. Ooh. So we're going to put in lots and lots of hot laps at this point. To be honest, I might post-editing just cut this part out. But there are some hot laps for you to enjoy nonetheless. And to be honest, I'm feeling a bit too lazy. I've got like loads of work happening, so I haven't had time to cut this. It's been like a week and a half since the actual Buckmore race. And I've only just got around to doing the voiceover for it. So remember, guys, if you want to see content coming out more regularly and higher quality content, make sure you subscribe, because I can be like, I've got loads of subscribers, then I can quit my job and just do loads and loads of karting, and I can invite people to come karting, and then I'll have so many subscribers that I'll go to a Formula 1 team and I'll be like, look how many subscribers I have, let me drive your Formula 1 car. They'll be like, oh my god, you have 1 billion subscribers, come race for us, because it'll be so good for sponsorship. And then I'll race, and I can then do cool stuff like let other people drive my Formula 1 car. And I'll come back to this very video and I'll be like, right, this guy, he liked my video and he dropped a comment. I'm going to let him have a go in my F1 car. It's the only opportunity you'll ever have to drive an F1 car, but you got to leave a comment down below, and that way I know who my loyal, my true viewers are. Anyway, that's enough waffle. So these laps at Buckmore Park, right? There are these strips of tarmac. It's new tarmac because it got resurfaced, and you can see this strip right in the middle of the circuit there. And these new strips, because they were relatively new, they didn't have that much rubber as the old tarmac did. What happens is, once you race on tarmac, lots of rubber gets layered down. Over the years, they get grippier and grippier. New tarmac doesn't have that rubber, which makes it less grippy, but, well, it depends on the tarmac, but it makes them grippier in the wet. Because there's less rubber on them, rubber is what makes circuits slippery. If it was just plain tarmac, it'd be really grippy, or concrete for that matter. It would be grippy. But as soon as you add rubber on, it becomes slippery. If you've got a rubber at home, or in a race if you're an American, you can wet it and then rub your finger on it, and it's really slippery. But if you dry the rubber and you rub your hand on it, it's really grippy. That's what tarmac does when it has rubber on it. It's really grippy in the dry, but in the wet, it's very slippery. So when you have new tarmac laid down, that's got lots of grip. So the whole idea is to find those strips of tarmac, which is what we do through this corner. You can see that strip of tarmac in the middle. If we get our tires on it, we get more grip and we can go a little bit faster. It's essentially like a super speed hack in the wet, which is what we want because we like speed. So super speed, that's great. Because usually in the wet, if it's all single type of tarmac, the racing line would be slightly different. You'd probably go slightly wider into some corners. But because we had this new tarmac, we could do slightly different things, slightly wonky things. And it's about searching for the grip, which I quite like because other drivers are quite used to driving in the wet and they know how to drive in the wet. But the second you change the wet conditions, if you make it greasy instead of wet, the wet line changes. If you add random strips of grippy tarmac, the wet line changes. Those drivers don't know how to change their line and find the grip. We do, and I'm decent at that. But when it's like full downpour, I'm not as good, although I am getting better at it. And I think this was one example of me doing quite well in the wet. We also had a BPEC round. That video is coming out soon, where we were also quite good in the wet. So weirdly, I'm starting to become proficient in the rain, and I used to despise the rain a few years ago. So it's not actually too bad. That being said, I do still prefer racing in the dry, but putting in hot laps in the wet can be very, very fun because, you know, you're kind of sliding around, it's a little bit cool, you're drifting, you're trying to find the grip and all of that stuff. Especially if you've got someone around your pace just to put in hot laps in the wet with, it is very, very fun. Also, if you're faster than someone, or for example, if you're doing a 24-hour stint, and you need to gain time, you want it to be wet because you can show off your skills versus another driver. Because there's loads of drivers, like myself a few years ago, who'll be very quick in the dry, but when the rain comes down, they're absolutely useless. Again, like myself a few years ago. But I'm slightly less useless now, so I'm getting to the point where when I have these races, part of me wants it to rain because it's better for my team, because we gain loads of positions. I might enjoy it slightly less, but our team does better because we're better in the wet, because we're all experienced karters who have done lots of wet weather running. But waffling aside, we are catching up to someone who is the unlucky victim, because that, to me, looks like a blue plate up ahead. And this is how 24-hour races go. You get a large portion of it where you'll have no one around you, especially at Buckmore Park, at the Buckmore 24 Hours, because there's only about 30 karts out on circuit. And it is a 1-minute lap in the wet, so there's a lot of spaces. There's someone who has spun. We have to take a slightly tighter line because I thought maybe he'd be dumb and get on the power and then come back onto the racing line, and we'd have a little bish bash bosh as someone goes up my inside. That is kart 4. How he got past me, I don't know. Only one of 3 people to overtake me over the course of my stint, but I think I do somewhat stick with him. So he gets past me, I then follow him for a bit, and then I get faster and I get my vengeance on him. So let's see if we can do that, because again, we've got someone to follow, so I can compare my lines to him. I can see where I'm losing time. So he gained a little bit of time on me through there. Into this corner, he doesn't know what he's doing. He takes that really deep line, and he gains time on me, but that's because I was compromised. Otherwise, I would have gained a huge amount of time. He's not using the super grip strip of tarmac. So in fairness to him, he's very quick. Considering he's not using super grip, he's putting in some very, very good laps, right? He doesn't know the hacks. We're hacking right now, and he's still faster than us. So full respect to this guy for being quicker than us without using hacks. True epic gamer karter. We've got another spinner. But again, I'm just thinking about, right, I need to figure out how to be as quick as this guy. He's taking a slightly wider line through that corner, and this is a weird situation now because he's not taking the same lines as that other guy who overtook me before, and I know that other guy was quicker than him. So I was thinking, right, whose lines do I want to follow? Maybe I should try both. I need to compare the pair of them, as we gain a lot going into this corner on the number 9 kart, but again, I need to make sure that I get through as quickly as possible. We really catch up under brakes. Up the inside we go. He doesn't turn in. He leaves us space. And you can see that the rain is starting to come down that little bit more. We've got a few more spots on our visor. And again, we are braking that little bit later than kart 4. We're holding it on the middle line because that way, you know, we are on super grip. And now I'm just thinking, right, we've got someone to chase. Let's chase them. Let's stick with them. That is the plan. Go a little bit deep into the right-hander heading down the hill. You know what? You know what? Any Buckmore merchants, you can rate my memory of Buckmore Park corner. So we'll start here. This is Garda Corner. Why is it called Garda? Because there was a gardener who once lived there. Then we're going to go through the Senna S. Why is it called an S? It's not really an S. I don't know. This is Cafe Curve because, well, there's the cafe on the left. This is, I'm guessing, the start finish straight. I don't know if it has a name. And then we're going to head into turn 1. I've got no idea what this one's called. It definitely has a name. Maybe it's like Graham Bend or something. Something sad like that. We're then going to go into what I call Hairpin 1. Again, it probably has a name, probably like the Surtees Hairpin. Then we're going to go into, yeah, you guessed it, Hairpin 2. Again, probably has a name. Now, this one I know, this is called the S's, because it's an S. Yeah. Then this is called Sime Sweep. And I can't remember what this left-hander is called, actually. Yeah, but I know this right-hander is called Paddock. And then we're back to Garda. So that is a lap of Buckmore Park of me terribly trying to remember corner names. If you've made it this far, congratulations. You somehow survived 30 minutes of me absolutely waffling about karting. I don't really know what. But number 4 is pulling away, and I was getting very sad. Because it was hurting my ego. I was like, 2 people have overtaken me. 3 people have pulled away from me because we've had the 11 pull away from me. We've had Peter Knight in the number 5 pull away from me. And now we've had this rando in the number 4 pull away from me. To be fair, he's probably quite a quick karter, but I didn't know him. So as far as I'm concerned, he's a rando. But we have caught up to someone and it's holding him up. This is another aspect of 24-hour karting or of endurance karting. It's not about how quick you are. It's not even about how consistent you are. It's about how quickly can you get through the traffic. The quicker you can get through the traffic, it doesn't matter if someone else is 2/10 a lap quicker than you. If you are able to get through traffic straight away and they have to spend a whole lap behind them, they lose a second, you lose a few tenths. So you make up for it straight away. That is the Sidemen. We are catching up to the bad YouTubers. Sidemen. Wait, is that Sidemen? I don't know. Either way, I'm going to go up the inside, and I've caught up to the number 4 kart now. So I'm thinking, right, it's race back on. I've got my mojo. I've started figuring things out. Let's catch up to number 4. We take that much tighter line into the corner. We gain loads of time on entry. We lose a little bit of time on exit, but I know that I gained on him through that corner. So I know that line was the right line. We gained, again, so much under braking into that hairpin because we're taking the better line. He's taking the wrong line. Again, same into this corner. Look how much we are gaining on this guy. So number 4 got past us, but now, right, he's realized who he overtook. He's realized that he overtook Pro Carter Milky Cereal, and now the pressure's starting to get to him. He's like, oh my god, I don't know if I can keep Pro Carter Milky Cereal behind me. So he's starting to make mistakes. As I say that, I then make a mistake and I go wide into the corner and I drop back as he hides behind a droplet of water on my camera. So, yeah. Either way, it's been a relatively okay stint so far. We made that one mistake where we had that little spin. As number 4 makes a mistake. Oh, he's coming into the pit lane. So, I was catching him back up. That's what I'm going to say. I was catching him back up and then he chickened out and went in the pits. It also means he had less fuel than me, so he was lighter. And I know weight doesn't really make that much of a difference in the wet, but I say it does. So, We started catching him. We'll call our pace even. He wasn't faster than us. He was about the same pace as us, okay? That's what we'll call it, because he got past, then he started pulling away, and then we caught back up. So when he ended his stint, we were faster than him. Our last couple of laps, we were the quicker driver, so we are better than him. And that is officially how racing works. But we're catching up to another car, and that's this very common trend with me in endurance karting. I catch up to people. Unless it's feedback, then people tend to catch up to me. But anyway, we've caught up to him. We're going to go up the inside. We say howdy. Take this nice wide line as we try to get on the power. The back end does step out. And yeah, I absolutely hate that corner. I just could not find the grip. Is that a yellow flag? No, it's just weird flashing lights. If you've got epilepsy, I don't know. I'd say look away. But to be honest, if you've got epilepsy, you'll probably already had an epileptic fit. And you're having a seizure. If you are epileptic and you're having a seizure, I do apologize. Anyone, if you know someone epileptic who is watching this video, make sure you check up on them. They might be having a seizure right now. I feel like that joke was in bad taste. If anyone who is epileptic is offended by that, please send your complaints to idon'tcare@gmail.com. Anyway, back to the racing. Also, for those people who are new to the channel, we sometimes make those kind of jokes. Yeah, they happen. And this stint is starting to get a little bit long, isn't it? We could end the video here, but I do know that there is a little bit more action to happen. And can I just say, I think you should all give me a round of applause, because I've been doing like 30 straight minutes of non-stop talking. I have not had to edit this together at all. I've just done 30 minutes straight of talking about this stint, right? About racing, about... I don't know what I've been talking about, to be honest. But it has been straight talking about a lot of waffles. I do like my waffles. Maybe if I make a team name, I should call it Team Waffles. Team Waffles can be Team A. Team B can be Team Pancakes. I can't think of what else you'd have. Like, what's like a hot waffly pancake thing that you could eat? French toast. We could have Team French Toast. Let me know in the comments down below. What do we prefer? Waffles, French toast, or pancakes? And by pancakes, I'm talking about the good ones, the Scotch ones, because the Scottish stuff is always the best, just like shortbread. So what is our favorite type of breakfast thing? You can put in crepes as well if you really want. But if you say crepes, you have to say what you have the crepes with, because waffles, like, waffles are just banging. French toast is also banging. Just to be clear, a little bit, if I'm having Scotch pancakes, a little bit of chocolate sauce, maybe some bananas on the top. French toast, either jam or Nutella and bananas. I do like my bananas on these things. Crepe, I'm not really a lemon and sugar kind of guy. So if I'm having a crepe, again, Nutella, roll it up, eat it, or jam. Bananas also go well with it, as do most things, and I think that is all of them. Oh, I haven't mentioned waffles. Waffles, you can do so much. Waffles, like a bit of ice cream. That's why waffles are great, right? Because waffles are so versatile, right? It can do everything that a crepe does, apart from rolling it up. It can do everything that a French toast does, apart from being sweet. And it can do everything that a Scotch pancake does. So really, waffle is just the most superior. But on its own, if you had to have one of them on its own, French toast is definitely the best because it's got some sugar. So on its own, French toast. But if I could have stuff with it, I'd take the waffle because I can do so many things, right? You could add some scoops of ice cream on it. You could add bananas on it. You could have Nutella. You can't have jam. I'll give waffles. I won't give waffles that. Jam works with crepes and probably not Scotch pancakes, but it does work with French toast. I've never tried jam on a waffle, and I don't think jam would work on waffles. I don't know. If anyone's feeling brave out there, maybe try out some jam on waffle. Either way, there's a 28. He's had a little bit of a poor run because he's a bit of a poor driver. And look how early he brakes. He don't know what he's doing. Oh, we go a little bit sideways, but we do get the kart stopped. So we get back on the power. And we are now 36 minutes into our stint. I have a feeling that you guys are very tired of me waffling on. So I think I've shown you enough of what a Buckmore Park 24-hour stint looks like. It's also starting to rain a little bit more. It's a bit harder to see. So once we overtake the next guy, we will call the stream quit, because otherwise it'll get far enough that Fraser Brunton's going to come around and lap me, and that's going to be embarrassing as all hell. I don't want you guys to see that. I want you to live in the delusion that I'm a really quick driver and the quickest driver in the world. I mean, just look at that little slide that we caught, and now we're going to go through this left-hander. Look at the exit speed compared to this black plate. He don't know what he's doing. I think I should send him on the brakes. Go on, go. Okay, let's be real. I was way too far back. He goes a little bit wider than me, so I'm going to try to take a slightly tighter line. I get on the power earlier, and now we're of course going to send it up the inside. That's been this video about a 24-hour stint at Buckmore Park. We are of course the Living Legends Milky Cereal. I hope you have enjoyed this. I'd say a little video, but it has been quite long. If you've made it to the end, you are a true fan. And remember, you could get that potential free F1 seat, free F1 car experience if you leave a comment down below. Peace out, hombres. I'll see you all in the next one.